Imagine driving down a familiar street and spotting the unmistakable golden arches, but something's wrong. The windows are boarded up, weeds are growing through the parking lot, and that iconic red and yellow sign is faded and broken. These abandoned McDonald's restaurants tell stories of changing times, failed experiments, and forgotten chapters in fast food history. Today, we're exploring 10 remarkable McDonald's locations that once served millions, but now stand as haunting reminders of a different era. Welcome back to American Memories, where we uncover the fascinating stories behind the places and landmarks that shaped our communities. If you're new here, we dive deep into the forgotten history of America's most iconic locations, and today's journey might just change how you look at your local McDonald's. Before we explore these abandoned golden arches, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the stories we uncover are truly unforgettable. McDonald's has been a cornerstone of American culture for decades, with over 13,000 locations across the United States serving billions of customers every year. But for every successful McDonald's that's still flipping burgers today, there are countless locations that have closed their doors forever. Some were victims of changing demographics, others fell prey to economic downturns, and a few were simply experiments that never quite worked out as planned. What makes these abandoned McDonald's restaurants so fascinating isn't just their current state of decay, but the stories they tell about American society, business evolution, and the communities they once served. Each empty restaurant represents dreams, jobs, family meals, and countless memories that are now slowly fading away, along with the peeling paint and rusted signs. Let's start our countdown with number 10. The experimental McDonald's locations that featured unique architectural designs. During the 1970s and 80s, McDonald's experimented with various building styles that departed from their traditional design. Some locations featured rock facades that made them look like mountain lodges, while others had glass pyramids or futuristic space-age designs. These unique restaurants were meant to blend in with local architecture or attract customers with their novelty. However, most of these experimental designs proved to be maintenance nightmares and were eventually abandoned or demolished when the franchise agreements expired. At number 9, we encounter the forgotten highway McDonald's restaurants that were bypassed by interstate construction. During the Great Highway expansion of the mid-20th century, many successful McDonald's locations found themselves suddenly isolated when new interstate routes diverted traffic away from their roads. These restaurants, which had thrived on steady streams of travelers and commuters, were left stranded on quiet back roads with dramatically reduced customer traffic. Despite the company's best efforts to relocate or redesign these restaurants, many were eventually forced to close, leaving behind empty buildings that still bear the faded remnants of golden arches. Number 8 takes us to the era of shopping mall McDonald's that became victims of the retail apocalypse. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, McDonald's opened numerous locations inside shopping malls across America, capitalizing on the foot traffic from shoppers and families spending entire days at these retail destinations. However, as online shopping changed consumer behavior and many malls began closing, these McDonald's locations found themselves trapped inside dying retail complexes. When the malls closed, the McDonald's restaurants went with them, leaving behind time capsules of fast food history hidden within abandoned shopping centers. Moving to number 7, we discover the McDonald's restaurants that were casualties of urban renewal projects. During various periods of city redevelopment, successful McDonald's locations were often demolished to make way for new construction projects, highway expansions, or urban revitalization efforts. While the company usually tried to relocate these restaurants, some communities changed so dramatically during redevelopment that the new demographics no longer supported a McDonald's franchise. These locations represent the complex relationship between fast food chains and changing urban landscapes. At number 6, we explore the rural McDonald's restaurants that couldn't survive population decline. Many small towns across America once supported thriving McDonald's locations that served local families, farmers, and travelers passing through. However, as rural populations shifted to urban areas and small-town economies struggled, these McDonald's restaurants found themselves with too few customers to remain profitable. The buildings that once brought Big Macs and Happy Meals to rural America now stand empty, often becoming the most recognizable abandoned structures in their small communities. Number 5 brings us to the McDonald's locations that were experimental prototypes for new restaurant concepts. Throughout its history, McDonald's has tested various new ideas, from pizza-serving locations to restaurants with expanded breakfast menus or different service models. Some of these experimental restaurants were built in markets where the concepts ultimately failed to gain traction with customers. When McDonald's decided not to continue with these experimental formats, the specialized restaurants were often abandoned rather than converted back to traditional McDonald's operations. At number 4, we encounter the McDonald's restaurants that became victims of franchise disputes and legal battles. The relationship between McDonald's corporate headquarters and individual franchise owners hasn't always been smooth, and some locations became casualties of business disagreements, contract violations, or legal conflicts. When franchise agreements ended badly, some restaurant owners chose to abandon their locations rather than continue operating under different terms or with different restaurant concepts. These abandoned restaurants often retain their McDonald's architectural features while slowly deteriorating without maintenance or upkeep. Moving to number 3, we discover the McDonald's locations that were closed due to contamination or environmental issues. While these situations were relatively rare, some McDonald's restaurants were forced to close permanently when environmental problems made the locations unsuitable for food service. Whether due to groundwater contamination, soil issues, or other environmental concerns, these restaurants were abandoned when the costs of remediation exceeded the value of continuing operations. The empty buildings serve as reminders of the complex environmental considerations that affect food service businesses. At number 2, we explore the McDonald's restaurants that couldn't adapt to changing consumer preferences and local competition. During various periods, McDonald's faced intense competition from other fast food chains, changing dietary trends, or shifts in local eating habits. Some locations, particularly in markets where the brand wasn't as strong or where local preferences differed significantly from McDonald's traditional offerings, struggled to maintain profitability. When these restaurants finally closed, they were often left abandoned rather than converted to other restaurant concepts, creating ghostly reminders of fast food competition. And finally, at number 1, the most haunting category of all, McDonald's restaurants in communities that experienced economic collapse. Some of the most striking abandoned McDonald's locations can be found in areas that suffered major economic downturns, factory closures, or other community-wide disasters. These restaurants once served thriving communities with steady employment and growing populations. When the local economy collapsed, the McDonald's restaurants became early casualties, unable to survive without a customer base that could afford regular fast food purchases. These abandoned restaurants stand as symbols of broader economic challenges that affected entire communities. What makes these abandoned McDonald's restaurants particularly poignant is how they contrast with our memories of these spaces as vibrant community gathering places. Many of us have childhood memories of birthday parties in McDonald's party rooms, family dinners at these restaurants, or late-night stops during road trips. Seeing these once bustling locations now empty and deteriorating creates a powerful sense of nostalgia and loss. These abandoned restaurants also tell the story of American business evolution and the challenges facing retail and food service companies in changing markets. McDonald's success as a company is partly due to its willingness to close unprofitable locations and adapt to changing conditions. But each closure represents jobs lost, community gathering places eliminated, and local economic impact reduced. From an architectural perspective, many of these abandoned McDonald's restaurants represent interesting examples of mid-20th century commercial design. The distinctive architectural features that made McDonald's restaurants instantly recognizable, from the golden arches to the red-tiled roofs, now serve as historical markers of a particular era in American commercial development. Some of these abandoned locations have found new life as other businesses, with new owners adapting the distinctive McDonald's architecture for different purposes. Others have been demolished to make way for a new development, but many remain empty, slowly deteriorating while their iconic features gradually fade away, creating haunting reminders of the temporary nature of even the most successful businesses. The story of abandoned McDonald's restaurants is ultimately a story about change, adaptation, and the evolution of American communities. These empty buildings remind us that nothing is permanent, and even the most successful businesses must constantly adapt to survive in changing markets and communities. As we reflect on these 10 categories of abandoned McDonald's restaurants, it's worth considering what they teach us about business, community, and change. Each empty restaurant represents thousands of meals served, jobs provided, and memories created during the years they were operational. While their abandonment might seem sad, it's also part of the natural cycle of business and community evolution. If this exploration of abandoned McDonald's restaurants has brought back memories or sparked your curiosity, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments. Do you remember visiting any McDonald's locations that are no longer there? Have you encountered abandoned McDonald's restaurants during your travels? Your stories and memories help preserve the history of these community landmarks. And remember, this is just one of the many fascinating stories we explore here on American Memories. From forgotten businesses to remarkable community landmarks, we're constantly uncovering the incredible stories that shaped American neighborhoods and cultures. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because our next video will take you on another nostalgic journey through the places and businesses that defined American life. Until next time, keep exploring the remarkable stories hidden in plain sight all around us.